Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast. I am so glad that you are here. Thank you very much for supporting the podcast because I'm dedicated to you. I want you, the industrial professional, to get the latest and greatest on content and information that make you a better professional. This is where they come to talk. This is where the industrial professionals come to talk, and I'm so glad that you are joining. We've got a jam-packed show today. It's going to include a gentleman by the name of Daniel Gefen. Now, his stat sheet is chock full of digital marketing, filling that funnel, figuring that out. For me personally, bueno, I love it. I'm so glad that he said yes to coming on the old Industrial Talk Podcast. So let's get the show on the road. We've got a lot to cover. Buttons and slides and things like that. Hey, you know what's an industrial approved food? Gumbo. If you come down to Louisiana, gumbo. And boudin sausage. Gumbo and boudin sausage. Phenomenal. You got to have it. If you're going for the gumbo, sausage or turkey, chicken, whatever, or the seafood gumbo, phenomenal. You can't go wrong. And if you come down here and you don't get boudin, you're missing out. Fantastic, delicious sausage, but unique to this area. So those are two industrial approved foods. So I'm so glad once again that you are here and that you're supporting this. But boy, I'm telling you today's, man, I'm so excited about Mr. Daniel Gefen because his stat sheet out there on LinkedIn is very impressive, and you just got to check it out. So we're going to go into that conversation. He'll expand a little bit more. We're going to talk about the past, present, and future, and he's going to tell us and set us straight from an industrial point of view why it's important to be able to leverage the digital platforms. But before we get into that interview, let's get going with our tailgate.
Tailgate Talk number 1.
All right. I want you to get your calendar out here. This is this is associated with Reliability Web. This is WeRAM. This is the reliability. This is Women in Reliability and Asset Management. This is it's a live webinar, and it is on June 26th, and it includes some of the most powerful women in the reliability space. And they're going to be talking about what they know best, and that's reliability without a doubt. So I highly recommend that you check that out. Now, you can find information about this event, Women in Reliability and Asset Management, and it's at maintenance.org. Go to a page, look for WeRAM, that's WIRAM, virtual conference, pull it up, figure it out. I'm telling you right now, you can't go wrong. Wonderful women, knowledgeable women, and comes from the great people at Reliability Web. So don't miss out. And once again, that is looking at the old, that's on the 26th. That is on the 26th. So go out there, find out.
Number 2.
Okay. I've just completed the Industrial Leadership Dojo, and it's about 21 points. And it is all specific to you, a leader within the industrial space, and what qualities that you need to have and possess. It makes sense. It's not anything so lofty, and it just sort of, for me personally, I'm a bulletized type of guy, and I like looking at it that way. However, what it all leads up to is how do you take that knowledge, how do you take that leadership knowledge and start to fill that funnel, start to bring in opportunities? What strategies that can be deployed to be able to grow your business or improve your professional stature, for lack of a better term? So that's where we're going. And like I said, today's interview with Daniel is one that is specific to that. It's starting to lead into that because I believe, for me personally, and what will be highlighted in much greater detail, I think that we're living through this whole industrial world, this industrial platform, this digital stuff. It's a disruptor. It is a disruptor in communication. It's a disruptor in learning. It's a disruptor in marketing, and it is a disruptor in strategies. And if you're not in the game, if you're not actively seeking out solutions, knowledge, and information about how you, company, person, leverages this digital platform, then you're going to be missing the boat. And all I can say is that if you're a company and you're not looking into this or finding solutions into this or how to brand yourself in this whole platform, your competition is. And so I just want to make sure that is the risk. And you just got to be aware of that. I think it's just truly a disruptor of just what we normally have done in the past. Embrace it. Just it's an incredible time, and it's a lot of fun. And so my purpose here within the Industrial Talk podcast is to pull everybody in within the industrial world into the 21st century and see what solutions and tools that exist out there that can definitely brand you, market you, fill that funnel, because it's all important. So that leads to the guest that we have today. That is Daniel Gefen. Now, he's founder of the Gefen Media Group. And if you go out to his Facebook page, he's got extensive stuff out there. And I highly recommend that you connect with this gentleman. But I'm not going to talk about it because I certainly am not going to do it justice. But I can't wait for him to talk about it. And so that's the interview coming up. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you Mr. Daniel Gefen. He's with the Gefen Media Group, and we're going to talk about technology, and we're going to talk about how technology can improve your business as an industrial professional and grow it. Hey, Daniel, welcome to the Industrial Talk podcast. I am so glad that you are here. This is Daniel Gefen, man. And if you go out to his LinkedIn site and you pull up Daniel Gefen, that's Gefen, pull up his stat cards, you'll be impressed with what he can do. Daniel, give us your little background on who you are and what you do and why you're so spectacular.
Oh, man, it's too kind, Scott. I don't know what to say now.
Yeah, because you got me off guard on the other technology stuff, so I had to sort of set you straight now. Give me a hard time.
Right. What's my background? Troublemaker. If I was to sum it up in one word, troublemaker.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a good troublemaker, my friend. Good troublemaker.
A good troublemaker, yeah. I'm a husband to a beautiful wife of 11 years. I have 4 beautiful children, all under the age of 10, one on the way. I have a best-selling book called The Self-Help Addict, which is basically all about self-help, being addicted to self-help, which is the story of my life, really. And I have a podcast show called The Daniel Gefen Show. It's my new podcast show that I've recently launched, where I pretty much just talk on a daily basis about the thoughts that go on in my head and how to take imperfect action. That's the theme of the podcast.
Let me ask you this real quick. You've already launched it. That's out there? Or is it?
Yeah, once we publish this episode, then it will be out there. So they can go, your listeners can go to, if they're listening to this right now on iTunes, They could just type in The Daniel Gefen Show and hit the subscribe button. And they'll be able to listen.
Now, what really impressed me about, and like I said, I'm so fortunate that you found time in your schedule to be able to meet with us. What impressed me is because you're knee deep in this digital marketing, this podcast world, and what is fascinating to me, and as we talk to our industrial audience, is that I'm a big advocate on leveraging this digital platform, and we had a number of conversations of, tell me why that the people out there need to listen to this and definitely understand the power behind the digital marketing, why they need to do it.
I mean, if you don't innovate, you're dead, essentially, right? If you're not staying with the times, then you're going to end up basically extinct. Like Blockbusters, right? You remember the good old days, Scott, where you walk into Blockbusters in your pajamas and you pick your favorite movie and walk out with a bag of popcorn, and those days are gone. I actually miss those days. Like I kind of wish Blockbusters didn't close, but then again, times change. Now you just open up your laptop and you put on Netflix, and boom, you can get any movie you want right there and then. And Blockbusters, unfortunately, were too big for their boots. They had an ego the size of Texas, and because of that, they didn't think they were going to get, they didn't think little David was going to kill Goliath, right? They were the giant of the movie industry. But Netflix came along and basically wiped the floor with them. And the only reason why is because Netflix understood where it was going, where the industry was going. And if you can't see where the industry is going, then really quickly you could find yourself out of business.
And we spoke about that. What fascinates me, Daniel, is how fast technology is evolving and how difficult it is for the human element, especially within the industrial space, to adapt to that change. It's the whole industry as a whole tends to lag. And what concerns me is that there's technology out there to make you a better company, to fill that funnel, to do the things that you need to do as a business, to grow that business, but you're reluctant. It requires effort to learn it, but it's not that difficult. Right?
Right. I mean, everything at the beginning could look difficult. Everything looks like it was, like it's really, how do I do that? But then once you just jump into it and you just start taking action, it just gets easier. It's like anything. And every single thing you do in your life at the beginning is always a challenge. And then once you're used to it, you do it in your sleep, right? It used to be that podcasting was really difficult, like getting in front of the microphone and knowing what to say and all of that stuff. And now it's just natural for me because I've done over 130 episodes on one of my podcasts, and I've been on about 50 shows. So to me now it's just I put the mic in front of my face and I just talk naturally like I would to someone at a bar.
Right. See, and I don't think that, let's say from my perspective, to be able to do a podcast, I would even say about 3 years ago, I don't know if I would have that technical savvy capability to be able to do it. But today, it's click, play, whatever. There's some real technical advantages of being able to do this.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Scott, is my show is recorded on my phone. My original show that I did 3 years ago, I had a professional setup. I had a professional microphone with a boom arm and a pop filter, right? All that technical stuff. And now I literally take out my smartphone, and while I'm walking in the park in the morning, I go for my walk in the park. I plug in my headphones into my smartphone. I hit the record button. And that's my show. That is it.
But why did you go down that road? Are you just saying, hey, people are just, why did you do that, and why is the market demanding that type of an approach?
Why I did it is because I could, because it's easy, because I anyway talk to myself. So I figure, hey, I might as well record myself while I talk to myself and create a show out of it. And B, because. In other words, to answer your question of why is technology going that way, it's all about convenience. That's the word. It's all about convenience and speed. Everything you can. I mean, pretty much you can do almost anything with a click of a button, right? You put food in a microwave, you click a button, and 2 minutes later you've got hot pasta. Yeah, you switch on a light with a click of a button. You click a button and you get warm. You click a button and you get air conditioning, and you lower the temperature. Everything's with clicks of a button nowadays. You go click on the button and you get yourself a delivery of groceries in an hour, right? You click a button and you get yourself anything. I mean, literally anything. So our generation is now used to that. And anything that takes a little bit longer or is slightly more difficult, we lose patience. I'll give you an example for those of you listening. When you go on a website and it takes literally 3 seconds to load, you click off. Move on. You move on. You're straight off, right? If it takes more than a split second to load, you've lost patience. You're out of there, right? We don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. Click of a button and I could speak to you. I just literally press a few keys on my phone and suddenly, boom, you've got a message. Yeah. And you message me back straight away. It's not like the olden days where you wrote a letter and you sent it with a courier, and a couple of days later they got the letter, and then they sent you that, and you would wait a week to hear back from them. Yeah. Now, 2 seconds. If you wait 2 seconds for someone to respond, you're like, I don't understand. Where are they? Like, I just messaged them. Why are they taking so long? It's like, geez, man. But that's the generation we're in. And if you bury your head in the sand and you say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, I'm not interested. Well, then you're going to lose business, because people are not going to put up with that. We're living in a fast-paced generation. You've got to keep up. Like I said before, if you don't keep up, if you don't innovate, if you don't keep up with the times, you're going to end up like blockbusters. You're dead.
It's amazing. I use the analogy of when I was a boy and I had to find out some information, whatever it might be. My parents would always tell me, hey, Scott, go to the library and then go into that card file and find that topic that you need to find information about. And of course, being young and dumb anyway, I tended to not do that. But today, that smartphone, that ability to be able to pull information instantaneously, and all the technology out there, there is no reason, there's not one reason why you should not be informed, because the information is out there. The only reason that you are not informed, or you decide not to, it's because you have decided not to be informed. You have decided not to pursue information and getting that information. And that's where, from an industrial point of view, this information is out there. The companies who are going to survive, based off of what I hear you saying, are going to have to innovate, are going to have to, dive deep in a sense of how you're going to leverage this digital platform, because your competition is. And those young individuals who get their information the way that you were talking about, speed, time, everything like that, they're going to be running those companies. And if you're not talking their talk or providing that information in the way they want that information, they're not going to do business with you.
Yeah.
That's the reality. And what we're talking about too is how this stuff, what we're taught here, how it disrupts. It's disrupting communication, how we're wired, branding, marketing, business strategies. The way you think about business today is completely different. And if you're stubborn, you're going to die. Because, that's what makes this so interesting there, Daniel, is because you get it. And what you bring to the table is that ability to be able to say, this is the reality. So before we got a break, because on the other side of this break there, Daniel, I'm going to talk to you about future. Where do you see it going, and what, as an industrial professional, what do I need to do? So hang tight. You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast. Stand by.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
All right, get your calendars. Okay, I'll wait. Just go get them. All right, we've got a couple of events that you need to take note of. This is sponsored by those wonderful people at Reliability Web. They're the ones that are passionate about reliability, asset management, of course, maintenance. They do it all. Go out to their website at reliabilityweb.com. Now, July 17th through the 19th. That's July 17th through the 19th. This is in New Orleans, Louisiana, right around the corner from where I'm at. This is the Vibration Institute. This is the Asset Conditioning Management Training Symposium. You got to be there, because I'm going to be there, and I want you to be there so that we can talk. The next one is Maximo World. That is August 7th through the 9th. This is in Florida, Lake Buena Vista. Now, anybody who's interested in Maximo will be there, so you need to be there. I will be there. Of course I'll be there, because I want to be there. So please, put those two things down, and if you have an event that you want to try to go to, get out there on reliabilityweb.com, go to events. I guarantee you there's something there for you. So thank you very much. I will see you at those events. If I don't, I'm going to be upset. So have a great day. Be safe as well. Welcome back to the Industrial Talk Podcast. Thank you very much for joining. We've got Daniel Gefen. He's with the Gefen Media Group, and we're talking about digital marketing, branding, all of that good stuff that you, as an industry as an industrial company, as an industrial professional, need to know. Now, Daniel, let's talk a little bit about the future. Where do you see it going? Because I know that I look around and I get overwhelmed by the speed of technology and what's the next thing. And I know I'm in the game, but I'm afraid I'm going to miss something and get behind. Where do you see all of this going, Daniel?
I think the future is going to get more personal. I think it's going to get more personal. I think people are going to crave more of a human interaction than ever before. And the reason why, and I think because what I see is happening is that we went from back in the day where everybody had a personal connection with the people they did business with, right? So a lot of your listeners will remember when they knew, or maybe they still do, but more so back in the day, they knew the name of the butcher, the name of the baker, and the postman, and right, they knew the names. They knew them by first name, and that's how you did business. It was more of a personal on a personal level. And then what happened was, companies came out all about branding. People talk about branding. You don't know who the face of the company is. You don't have a relationship with the CEO. You don't have a relationship with the founder. And the internet has also increased that anonymity. So, everybody's kind of hiding behind the internet. And that's what's happening right now. But I think what's going to happen in the future, and it's going to happen pretty soon, and it comes down to really the dynamics of being a human being, is that we naturally want to and we crave relationships, deep personal relationships. People are going to get sick and tired of just being a transaction. And they're going to want to really do business with people who they relate to. They buy into their story. They buy into their mission and their purpose. And I think those are the companies that are going to really dominate the future.
So how do you develop that? You're absolutely right. We've been hiding behind the internet, and we've been doing the same old anyway. And I understand the personal element, because here in Louisiana and in the industrial world, it's always like, I play golf with this guy, I go fishing, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
How do you create the in this digital world that personal solution?
You've got to be sharing your story. That is the key. You can have 10,000 followers on Instagram, and you can have 20,000 followers on LinkedIn and 5,000 friends on Facebook. But those are just numbers. They don't mean anything. They're just numbers. So there's a number of ways to really create meaningful relationships. Number one is, like I said before, it's documenting your story. It's not just telling people the story that you think they want to hear. Because if you look online, most marketers, most brand quote unquote experts are all, again, hiding behind this kind of facade, this mask of, oh, look how amazing I am. Look how much money I make. Look at my Ferrari. Look at my, good looking, beautiful wife. And that's crap. Nobody cares about that. They don't care about that. What they care about is they care about you as a human. Who are you? Who are you? I don't want to hear about your company or how much money it makes or whatever. I want to hear about you as a person. Who is Scott McKenzie? What's your backstory? What gets you fired up? Why did you get into the industrial industry?
Right.
Who are you? I want to hear about your
I'm good looking, and I got a beard, and I'm bald. So that's who I am.
That's cool. That's very vague. Yeah, that's very vague. Yeah,
it is what it is.
But tell me about, I want to hear about your weaknesses. Now, this is going to come across as almost, counterintuitive to a lot of people listening to this, because they're in the industrial, market, and there you kind of have to be rough and tough almost, right? But
you got to act like it, let's put it that way.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. You think you got to act like it, but actually times have changed. And again, if we want to talk about the future, that's no longer the case. People are not, they don't want a relationship with somebody who's just rough and tough on the outside and, look at me. They want vulnerability. People want to see your weaknesses as well as your strengths.
So you say it from a company's point of view. Let's say I'm the owner of the company, and you're saying, hey, they got to get to know you. And boy, I'm telling you, that's a challenge. Because as an owner of the company, you're saying, okay, I gotta sort of open up my kimono so that you can see who I am. Because normally I am just the guy in charge, and I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. But you're saying it's got to be more personal in that sense.
Who would you do business? Who would you, if you had a choice between doing business with John or Bob? John is this rough, tough, like, what you see is what you get. You're not putting on this sort of front, right? A cover up. Because I think that, this is what you want to see, even though that's not the case. Or Bob, who's just, open and vulnerable and talks about the challenges he has in life. He talks about the issues he has in business and how he's managed to overcome them. And you know what? Sometimes he's having a crappy day, and he talks about that. He gets on his Facebook and he talks about how I'm having a crappy day today. I have a member of staff who's just really dropped the ball. He's really screwed up, and now I've had to, go and fire them, and it doesn't feel good to fire someone because, ultimately he's been working for me for X. Like, that's the kind of thing people want to hear about because it makes you human. Right. It makes you human.
Those are good points. I know I like to hear about it. That's why I like hearing about you, Daniel. Your stat sheet shows up. You got some interesting successes and failures in your career, so it's very good. Now, you pointed out there are 3 points. Now, we did that. That was 1. What's 2?
So there's this story, which is basically that, and then there's also reaching out to people, right? But not reaching out to them only when it's their birthday, when everybody else does, because that's standard, right? That's expected. But it's reaching out to them when it's least expected, just out of the blue, just literally just, hey Joe, I haven't spoken to you in a while. How you doing? And just striking up a conversation. And see, the thing is that technology is a double-edged sword, right? On the one hand, it can be used to create incredible relationships, deep relationships. And it's so easy to do that because you just send them a text message on your phone or send them a video message or a voice note. It's so easy. But on the other side of the sword, it kills relationships because we talk to people as if they're a number. So we just talk to everybody. Why should I speak to one person when I could speak to 100 people? The answer is because if you speak to 100 people, you're not going to really build a relationship with anyone, right? You're not going to have a relationship with any of them. Right. But you send a video message to someone, which takes you literally 10 seconds. 10 seconds, you send a video message to someone. You say, hey, Joe, how you doing? Just been thinking about you. Want to know how things are going with you in the family. It's so easy.
See, that's an aha moment.
Simple.
That's simple. You're right. Because technology is
simple.
That's good. So we've got number 1, we got to tell the story, but the story's got to be real. And then that reaching out to people, because I know I fail at that. I know when I get notified by LinkedIn that somebody's got a birthday, it's easy for me to say, hey, happy birthday.
Exactly.
And walk away feeling really good about myself because I didn't remember that individual's birthday, but that technology reminded me. No, it's not right. So number 3.
Yeah. And number 3, I would say is, actually, I think that what you're doing, Scott, is very, very smart. You're in an industry where I don't think there's a lot of people doing podcasts in, right? Yeah, the fitness industry.
I like to say that I am the number 1 industrial-related podcast in the galaxy.
Yeah,
I am.
Right. There's nobody else out there. So I actually think your listeners should, take you as an example. Where you are reaching out, you're taking advantage of the digital space and the advances in technology, and you're able to speak to an audience in an industry where nobody else is doing this, right? Nobody else is doing this. And so you're easily able to become the expert, and you're easily able to share, who you are as a person and build relationships and build an audience and build connections. And I mean, you have guests on your show who hopefully end up doing business with you, because they've got to know you on a personal level.
No like and trust. No like and trust.
No like. Exactly. Now, it doesn't have to be a podcast show, right? It could be a podcast show, but it could also be, just Facebook Lives. It could be creating videos on YouTube, right? Doing a daily video documentary or something. It could be, writing a book, right? Anything that basically makes you an expert, right? Perception is everything. When people see that you've written a book or that you're a host of a podcast show, or they just see you all over social media, and they see you as an expert. They see someone who is with the times, somebody who understands not only their industry but also understands technology as well. It sets you apart from everybody else, and it's so simple because all it is, again, like I said, writing a book used to be a whole thing. You'd have to hire a ghostwriter, and you'd have to pay a publishing company to publish it, and it wasn't easy. And even if you had money, you wouldn't necessarily be accepted because the publishing companies were very specific of who they accepted. Now you can literally open up Word on your computer, or actually I would say Google Docs, which is even easier. Go on Google Docs, and you just, or Word, whatever you prefer, and you just start writing, and you put it up on Amazon. And you can go on YouTube and literally a couple of YouTube videos, and away you go. Tutorials teaching you exactly what you need to do. You put it up on Amazon, and boom. And now suddenly you're an author. I mean, you could literally write a book, in a couple of weeks. Yeah. And become an author. And suddenly you're being asked to speak because you've got a book, and it's not rocket science.
Yeah, but it's so phenomenal because that opportunity didn't exist a few years back. It's like today. Right. Like what I do is I hate writing, right? I hate, typing, and I'm not the fastest at it. But through other services, I can just sit there and record. They translate in a matter of seconds. Boom, timestamp done, and then you can sit there and manipulate it all you want. And now you got a chapter written in a matter of seconds. That's the world we live in. And what's shoot. We're running a little late here. Let's take a break. We're going to wrap it up with Daniel on the other side. Thank you very much for joining the Industrial Talk Podcast, because you need to get a hold of this guy. You need to figure it out, and you need to make sure that you tap into his LinkedIn account. So stay tuned. We're going to talk all about his contacts after the break. Thank you very much. Hey, once again, this is Scott McKenzie with Industrial Talk. If you like what you're listening to, please feel free to sign up for the free podcast as well as the blogs. I'll try to keep it all relevant to your business and hopefully be able to provide some insight into what we do at Industrial Talk and what you do as a professional. Hope to see you soon. Thank you. All right, welcome back to the Industrial Talk Podcast. We are talking with Daniel Gefen. He's all about leveraging the digital world and the platforms that he's on. Now, Daniel, we talked a little bit. I'm just absolutely stoked that now I have you as a friend, and now I get to stalk you on all the platforms and just keep the friendship going. So, nonetheless, how can people get a hold of you, my friend?
I think the easiest way to get a hold of me is through my show, The Daniel Gefen Show. So they just go on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, whatever they're listening to this podcast on, and they just go to they just type in the Daniel Gefen Show, and then hit subscribe. Or they can go to danielgefen.com. Gefen is with one F, by the way. So it's Daniel and then Gefen, 1F.com.
Yep, that's it. So that's your website. And then but you have another podcast, don't you?
Yes. So I actually have my other podcast on that website as well, called Can I Pick Your Brain, where I interview successful business owners to find out how they became successful.
And then you're out on LinkedIn, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And are you active out there? Just sort of look around. It seems like you're active.
LinkedIn, I post once a day on LinkedIn.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Got to keep pumping out.
So you do. So you get a parting shot here. What do you want the listeners to remember from this conversation? What do you want them to take into action right off the bat?
Just to, always look around, see what people are doing, see what people are like, look at who your ideal clients, where are they at right now? Yeah. And where do you think they're going to be in a year from now, 2 years from now? Because if you're not taking care of your clients, someone else will.
It's so true. It's so true. So I agree with that. I can't talk enough about how to leverage or just create a strategy that does leverage the sort of this digital world. I find that people are just sort of, they think they have a digital strategy and they think it's more, quote, social, and that's how they do. We'll just post something and look at us, we've got a digital strategy, and it doesn't work. When there are tools and techniques out there that are proven that could definitely create greater attention and better branding view or whatever that the strategy might be for your company. So I agree with you on that one. I highly recommend that. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You're coming from Israel, right?
Yes.
You're broadcasting from Israel, and it's late. And you did this for our listeners.
Well, I mean, it's an honor and a pleasure to be on here.
No, I'm telling you, I'm so excited, and thank you very much. I know that you're busy, so stick with the Industrial Talk Podcast. We're going to wrap it up on the other side, and thank you very much to Daniel, because you're an awesome guy.
Thank you so much, Scott. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure's all mine.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
All right, my friends, that was Daniel Gefen. What a rock star, man. I'm so glad that he's found time in his busy schedule to be able to meet all the way from Israel. That's amazing. I'm just honored to be able to have him as a new friend, my friends. And you guys have him as a new friend because you guys could go out there to his LinkedIn account and dial him up. Now, remember, he's got a book out there called Self-Help Addict, and that is out on Amazon. So get on out there, check it out, as well as he started a new podcast called the Daniel Gefen Podcast, which I'm excited about it. So once again, thank you very much for joining the Industrial Talk Podcast, and thank you to Reliability Web. Go on out to their site, look at all of the events that they have all over the place. Go out, check it. I guarantee you there's something near you. Once again, we've got the Industrial Leadership Dojo out there. It's talking about leadership principles as an industrial leader. We're going to be wrapping that up, and we're going to be starting a program that is specific to filling that funnel and being able to create some opportunities for you as a business and as an individual. So thank you very much. As always, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next, I'll catch you next week. So thank you very much, and have a great afternoon.